Amidst the first ever pandemic in our lifetimes, everyone is asking about the real estate market. What's inventory like? Is it a buyer's market or seller's market? How can you adequately show your home or see a home and still observe social distancing? Find out right here in this episode of Asked and Answered. Hi, everybody. This is Richard Wong with Viridian Mortgage, and we're glad to have joining us today Scott Piper of Better Homes and Gardens. Scott is an expert real estate agent in the greater East Bay in the San Francisco Bay Area, where he's been serving his customer for better half of 17 years. Scott, welcome. And we are in the middle of a pandemic, and your industry is one of the ones that has been squarely impacted, as I know. Tell us how you're doing and the latest with what's going on in the real estate industry.
Thanks, Richard. It's great to be on the interview. So as you know very well, things have changed dramatically here, and certainly in our office and what we're dealing with buyers and sellers and the ability to show property and people not knowing what to do or what's happening. But things continue to evolve, but certainly it appears that we are in a place where confidence has returned back to the market.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, it took some time. There was probably a 3-week period or so where the market really fizzled out. People didn't know what to do or how to act. And that has passed, and people are returning to the market, buyers and sellers.
Okay, because inventory was low to begin with, just not only at the beginning of this year, but last year as well. And now what is it like? What's the current inventory like?
You know, Richard, the inventory is really like it's been for the last decade, limited in our area. We have limited inventory, we have high demand, and that hasn't changed. And it still hasn't changed even in these last handful of weeks or a couple months.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons why pricing is still pretty stable. I know there was some chatter about, the home prices are going to be going down, just like what we saw 12 years ago. But I actually saw some conflicting data this morning about, I think at least in Santa Clara County, where I'm situated, that home values have actually increased by about 12% for 2020. Is it pretty similar on the East Bay?
Yeah, it is very similar. Like I mentioned, we had a brief downturn of those 3 weeks where if you were selling during that time, there may have been a realization of a small adjustment, maybe 3 to 5%. But now since that's passed, values have maintained. And even more so, very interesting situation. We put a house on the market on Wednesday, Richard, just under $1 million. So very good price point for the Bay Area. Thursday, we had 7 private showings. Agents called with making 7 different appointments to show buyers. I've never had that in the history of real estate, that on a Thursday or a weekday that you actually get 7 different showings.
So now we're certainly in a different world now, even as the sheltering restrictions begin to be lifted. So is it in Alameda County? What's the situation now? And did it just change this week?
Yes, it did change again slightly. The showing instructions have been similar for some time, with the exception that you could not show occupied homes, which was a very big deal. So you could only show vacant homes. They've now included that to occupied homes. The resident or occupant has to be vacated for the showing. And it's the same showing instructions that have been since the shelter in places happened.
Okay, can you elaborate on those restrictions, like no touching anything and just like 2 people at a time? What are the?
Yeah, it's 2 people, maximum of 2 people from the same household, means that you must live together to look at it together. So Richard, you and I couldn't go and look at a property together because we don't live together. But you and your wife could go and look at a property.
So you shouldn't bring your kids, otherwise they're sitting in the car.
Exactly, because it's only 2 people. So really no children are allowed. And then it's shoe covers, gloves, and masks. And then the seller has a bit of responsibility as well of kind of disinfecting the property before and after.
Wow. And are there new addendums or any legal documents that have arisen since the COVID started?
Yes, actually there are. There's a handful of documents that have been created, and they're all around coronavirus. And frankly, I have a bit of concern with them to really step out on a limb because they're brand new, and there's been no case law behind them. There's not been any experience, and in some cases, they substantially could expose you to more risk or exposure.
And who has drafted these new addendums? Was it the California Association of Realtors?
Yeah, it is the California Association of Realtors.
I see.
So they're California Association of Realtor documents, the same as all the other documents that we use. But documents get amended over time based on use and case use.
Yes.
And these are
litigation.
They're brand new. So no case use.
Yes, it's ripe for some disputes coming up, which I imagine you would anticipate, just because when things get rushed through like this, it's often not thought out to the extent where you're going to prevent litigation for very long, right? And so eventually someone's going to contest, right, the validity of these documents.
Right. But, exactly. Yep.
So as a real estate professional, you deal with a lot of different third parties, contractors, inspectors, stagers coming in, and as I know, appraisers and notaries at the end of the transaction. So tell me how that's affected your world and how you're dealing with it right now.
Yeah, Richard, it's certainly been an evolution here over the last 4 or 5 weeks, from no one wanting to do anything. And I know you experienced that. Appraisers not wanting to go and appraise houses, people not wanting to let appraisers in.
Yep.
And the whole gamut, contractors not wanting to do work, not allowing people into the property. But we've come back to a place that CAR, the health department, or whoever is kind of leading out these orders, has given more direction on those things, and actually allotted for very specific trades within real estate that are now acceptable as long as they follow the social distancing protocol.
Right.
And so, in my opinion, sorry about that, all real estate related people and activity are essentially essential workers, and can be deemed as that. Insofar as such, they've created a document, CAR created a document that contractually would allow these people to come into the house: photographers, stagers, repair people, all the realtor, or any other person that would be associated with the transaction, now contractually through the seller would be allowed to come into the house and given permission.
Got it. And I also think that at the beginning, at the pandemic, when we were just learning about the disease, it's one thing to allow it legally, but then you can't force somebody to be there either. And that's why I think we saw even in loan transactions, appraisers just decide not to take these orders because they had no idea how contagious this virus was or how deadly it was. And so a lot of people just decided to stay at home, even though they were considered essential.
Yeah, there was a lot of fear and unknown. People just didn't know what to do. So it seems to be settling down now, and people are kind of getting into a rhythm and feeling a little bit safer and coming back out.
Yeah, and we're at the time of the year where I think it's considered usually a good seasonal time to put your house on the market. What are some tips that you can give sellers now in the new post-pandemic, hopefully soon, world?
You know, I've always gone off the notion, Richard, that life happens while you're making plans. And so continue with the plans, stay the course. If you intend on selling or buying, do it, because there's no better time than the present. However, it is never been more important than it is now to have the right counsel and the right team behind you.
Potential buyers who have been traditionally shopping homes online and then going to open houses, there's no more open houses anymore. So you have to schedule an appointment. So logistically, it's a little bit more cumbersome. But any other tips that you want to give potential buyers right now?
Call listing agents if you want to see a house, or call your realtor that you have a relationship with and just make an appointment and go see the house. I think that the way our market has developed, people could go look at houses without a commitment to a real estate agent, which is something that's become very comfortable. They're not really sure if they want to move, or they haven't really decided. They're just kind of kicking tires, and they're out searching homes on their own until they find the right house that excites them. And then they call their real estate professional. And I don't think it's a bad thing to call a listing agent to have them show your house, show them the house they have listed. If you don't have an established, or you don't want to wake up your real estate agent because you haven't been working with them yet. And then if you like the house, call your professional, call your real estate agent, and go back and say, hey, I found a house and I want to write on it.
What do you foresee the next step as we get through this crisis? What do you think is the next freedom that returns to the market as far as a real estate professional?
Well, Richard, I really hope that the open house thing opens back up again, because to me, that order doesn't make a lot of sense. There's protocol and provision on how you can view houses now and do it safely according to the order. And if an open house is done properly, you can adhere to those standards and no one be violated, and people would have that opportunity to come and look at houses again and get out in the market. And I think the market needs that for some confidence, just consumer confidence.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because I envision what you see outside of the grocery stores now, where there's maybe a line to get into an open house and people standing 6 feet apart, and you only go in when somebody comes out.
Exactly. And there's a moderator outside that's monitoring monitoring it. You sign a disclosure before you go in. It's a CAR form. Right. And, and it's done just as if you had an appointment and you were there with your realtor. Right.
Well, Scott, thanks so much for your time today. I know you're a busy guy. I really appreciate the fantastic input and advice. If somebody needs to reach you for real estate advice about buying or selling homes in the East Bay, how does one contact you?
Sure. Well, text or call at 925-989-1300, or shoot me an email, which is simply scott.piper@bhgtrivalley.com. So, yeah, and I appreciate you taking this time and interviewing me, Richard. It's really an honor, and appreciate being part of your business and associated with your network or clients, because you are really an awesome resource. And thanks for making me a part of it.
Thank you, sir. Scott Piper with Better Homes and Gardens. I appreciate your time. Have a great weekend and stay safe.
You too, Richard.
Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Wong of Viridian Mortgage, and welcome to Ask and Answered, a video series that I created highlighting mostly attorneys dealing with COVID pandemic-related issues. In this day and age of constantly streaming information at our fingertips, it's sometimes easy to fall prey to sensory overload. And so the goal of this program is to hear firsthand from those professionals who are the experts dealing with these issues on a day-to-day basis and providing us with the clarity and direction we need during these challenging times. Thank you for watching. Be smart, stay safe, and take care.